pledge will be led by the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Johnson.
I'm here this morning just to address education. How do we know? Because the people have told us so. We represent the ideal way to alleviate the shortages is by ensuring that children of all races and both genders receive the basic grounding in science and mathematics that will prepare them to pursue careers as scientists, engineers, and technologists. Is it not time then for America to grow morally? For those who fear to answer this question, I will answer it for them. The time is now.
Now more than ever, what happens in Washington impacts us here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Your Congresswoman, Bernice Johnson, will help you understand what goes on inside the federal government and share perspectives from today's leading policymakers and opinion leaders. And now, your Congresswoman, Bernice Johnson.
Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report. I have a very distinguished guest today. He is Eric Schaeffer, the Executive Director of the Environmental Integrity Project. We need lots of those. The Environmental Integrity Project advocates for effective enforcement of environmental laws. He founded this organization in 2002, and after serving at the Environmental Protection Agency for more than a decade, so he has really seen this issue for a number of years. He graduated from Vanderbilt University and received his law degree from Georgetown University. And I'm so delighted he took time to join us today, and thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Congresswoman, for having me.
Tell me a little bit about what your responsibilities are.
Well, we are a small group of public interest lawyers. We are supported by grants from foundations, so the services we provide are free. We try to represent people who are pushing to clean up power plants or get refineries to follow the Clean Air Act and do something about their emissions. We do a little work with the big animal feeding operations to try to get them to clean up and have do a little less damage to their neighbors.
Well, it sounds like a very important job at an extremely important time because I think that we in America are just beginning to accept that we've got to change a lot of our behavior as it relates to our environment. Have you worked in Texas?
We have worked in Texas. We have a small office there for people in Austin, 3 lawyers and a paralegal. And as we do in other states, we are trying to help get power plants cleaned up. We do a lot of work with refineries in the Port Arthur and Corpus Christi areas. We've got some very good people. And so, folks don't realize, especially people from the East Coast, that in Texas and Louisiana, thousands of people live right next to the plants.
Yes.
I mean, the neighborhoods are right there. I mean, you can look right across the fence and see the refinery smoking. And it can be pretty intense on a hot summer day when one of those refineries starts flaring or starts leaking benzene or something else that's bad for you.
What used to be in my district was a cement plant and a lot of dust from the cement. When I was doing some research trying to determine the major causes of illness in the area, we didn't have many statistics, but the major cause of death we did. And looking at the census tract around there, it was all respiratory. They have moved now out to Midlothian, and I get very frequent visits from people who live there, being very concerned about the environment. They're represented by Representative Barton, and he has more of a positive attitude about it by indicating the number of jobs that it brings. But I believe that environmentally, people living in the area still feel some ill effects.
Well, first of all, let me thank you in general for pushing on these environmental issues. It's great that you took the time to look into it, and we've appreciated your help up here on the Hill also, trying to get the Tennessee Valley Authority to clean up its act after that big spill of coal ash, and just pushing in general in your position as chair of the Water Resources Subcommittee. So I want to make sure to get that thank you in.
Thank you.
You know, there are two types of air pollution. There's the smoke and the dust that people see, and that's very irritating, and that can give you asthma. It can cause bronchitis, and it creates the kind of complaints that you were hearing about. And then there sometimes is invisible pollution. A lot of the toxic chemicals,
yes,
you'll never see them, but they can do great damage. Fine particle pollution, you get that from power plants, and you have some of that in the Dallas area.
Yes.
Is a killer. There's no way to sugarcoat it. And so when you go in, as you did, and push and ask questions and get the companies to examine their emissions, you do some real good. The jobs are great. I think people need employment, and we want good wage jobs. It always feels to me that you can have that without the pollution.
Yes.
Whenever these companies get pushed, they do clean up.
Yes, and as a matter of fact, as they're doing cleanup, people are still working.
Right.
They can retain them and maybe hire some new people, so it does not do away with jobs to clean up. You might have to change people,
right,
because of expertise that you might need.
Sometimes you add people.
But I feel a big responsibility toward making sure that people have healthy air to breathe. We have seen many more admissions to Children's Hospital from children because of asthma, and many, many more of senior citizens. So I know that it has some effect. And very often, the most contaminated areas are in low-income areas.
That's true.
And so it might seem like you're on a sing-song, but I see it this way. Low-income people rarely have good insurance. And so whether the people living in the area or whether they're living across town in a very clear area, they're going to pay for this health condition, so they might as well be a part of cleaning it up so we don't have to pay that. Plus, we've got to take care of this planet. It is very, very clear the way that we have gotten spoiled in living and how the pollution is really very, very prevalent. And it's a big job to do. And, you know, I'm from Texas, where people feel that they do it at their own pace.
Right.
Well, we've been kind of stubborn and do it at our own pace. And have you seen an area where they have willingly gone ahead and made real changes?
Sure. I worked at the Environmental Protection Agency, as you said, in the enforcement program. And what happens in enforcement is you bring the lawsuit, or you threaten to bring the lawsuit, you end up negotiating a cleanup. And the company will sit down with you once they realize you're serious, and they will always, always take some steps to make it better. You know, I get frustrated, but the fact that I think enforcement works, and I've seen it works before, makes me kind of optimistic.
Yes. Well, I know that when when the person in government who places people in decision-making positions, if they're serious about enforcement, it'll happen. If they're not, it doesn't happen. And we've seen some situations where even the enforcement staff has been cut. And in my state, we're probably one of the most polluted states in the country. And I'm very interested in cleaning up as much as we can. And I have met with some of the people that own companies that do pollute, and they're interested in cleaning up. They don't want necessarily to be polluters, but they don't want to do without the money while they're doing it.
Right.
And then some say it's just so expensive that they cannot afford it. But I wonder if not doing anything really costs more